I mean, it was a blessing. um, it was amazing just to be able to come in, especially situation at the time how I came in, and then just just a huge shout out to the organization, my teammates and coaches just trusting me, especially coming in like that when the team is already established. You kind of were like the last piece to the puzzle, but then it was a lot of trust from my teammates. Obviously, huge shout out to them and the coaching staff as well, in allowing me to find my way within the team. That's a good question. I mean, for me, the most important thing is being somewhere where I'm wanted. You know what I mean? A place that the organization that wants me to be there, and where I enjoy being. Sacramento is a place that I love being. I've played in a lot of big cities. I grew up in a big city as well. So, but I've always been the type of person to kind of like be low key out the way. Sacramento gives me that feeling, where it's not a lot going on, not too crazy, and that's most of my pace. But at the end of the day, it's business. You never know. It's never black and white in this business. This is year six for me. I've kind of seen a lot of things, in a short period of time. But it's just taking it one day at a time. See what happens, see what unfolds. My representations are gonna be in constant communication with the organization and the front office, and hopefully, I'm praying that we're able to come to something that works for both sides. 100%. 100%. I think for myself, I've been able to expand my game and also show that I'm able to do a lot of different things on the basketball court, offensively and defensively. Being able to guard multiple positions comfortably. One through five. There's points in the season where I started off the game guarding point guards. Started off the game guarding centers. Wings. No matter what the case was, and then offensively, just being able to figure out my game within everybody else's offense and being able to impact winning. For me, I think that's something that I was able to show this year. Given the opportunity. Yeah, I mean, it was just for me. It was just something just to add a little bit of flair, a little bit of spice to it. Um, I like the whole beam idea. I thought it was. I've always watched it. Being on other teams and playing against Sacramento. I've always watched the beam, but coming in, I was like, how can we spice it up a little bit? And sunglasses kind of came to mind, and I was like, hey, this is gonna be something, a little more exciting, just to add to the excitement. Obviously we weren't having the type of season that we all came in thinking we were gonna have in terms of wins and losses, but you can still find joy, in the little things. And for me, that was my mindset, and implementing, all the small things and being able to connect with, the rookies and all that type of stuff. It was fun.
has started to have started to feel that process as far as looking down at each line.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've made a huge emphasis on building a winning culture and the pillars and all that kind of stuff that they've set. And they've done a good job of implementing those. And I think so as the season went along, we did a better job of following, and being able to try doing the best to our ability to implement those as much as possible. I mean, for me, I've been in a lot of winning situations. Early in my career, I got drafted by a team that had just came from the finals. So there's a lot of winning expectations, a lot of winning basketball. The way you play the game is a little different when you're in an environment like that. And Scott, Doug, those guys have competed at a really high level. Scott put together, we already know the type of teams, the championship teams that he's put together over the years. But those are the little things, that don't necessarily, a lot of them don't really go in the stat sheet, but they affect winning. And I think as the season went along, a lot of the rookies, guys 2, 3 years in, started to figure out this is what it takes to win. Winning this league is not easy. I'll tell you that. Um, but it could be done. If you put the work and the effort towards it.
Question. When we first got here too, that you wasn't worried about starting with another team. You just fit. When you got here, when did you know this was going to be comfortable fit?
I remember. I think it was one of my initial conversations with Doug, um, and he pretty much just put out a blueprint for me, how he sees me, how the team wants to play, moving forward, that type of stuff. And that's when I figured this was going to be a good fit. And also looking around, a lot of guys are, for the most part, around my age. Keegan, Malik, um, even some of the younger guys as well, or not that much far off in age. The exception of Ross and Demar, but I felt like this is a place that fit, my style of play. Play fast, play tough, the little things, grit, being able to, do all the little things that impact when that's naturally how I kind of play. I like to play very aggressive. I think every decision that I make on the basketball court is, channeled towards winning. That's just how my mind works. I'm not the type of player where I go out there and say I'm gonna try to score the ball today just for scoring's sake. If I'm scoring the ball, or if I'm defending the best player, if I'm rebounding, or whatever the case is, diving for loose ball, all that stuff is not because I want to do it for myself. It's just my mind is wired because I feel like this is a winning play to make. So yeah. Thank you guys.